How's it going, everyone? It's time to take another look at one of the new close quarters weapons as part of my Battlefield 3 weapon guide video series. The MP5 has now been added to the game in the form of the MP5K, its compact version, with the model name in-game being the M5K. This weapon is a PDW, which means you can use it for all your kits, and you unlock this weapon just like all the new close quarters guns by completing one of the assignments, and the assignment for the M5K is named Hold the Trigger. The requirements for this challenge are to first unlock the SPAS 12, then once you've unlocked your SPAS 12 you need to play around in the Gunmaster mode in order to get a top 5 position. Then once you've done that, use any of the other submachine guns, which are most of the PDWs, to rack up 100 kills. So let's get started with this guide and take a look at some of the M5K's general stats. The power figures come in at pretty moderate for this weapon. It's got the lower figure of 20 for up close damage, which drops off to 12.5, which is a touch higher than the 11.2 of other weapons such as the MP7 and the P90. Up close, this means it's not quite as powerful as weapons such as the UMP45 or the PP2000, but at long range compared to the MP7 and the P90, it's going to allow you to gun your targets down with just one less shot to kill. Still, 12.5 damage means you're going to need 8 shots to kill at long range, so this definitely makes the M5K and the PDWs all round more close range weapons. There's only really the AS Val which can hold its own in those long range engagements with its 18.4 damage figure. Despite having pretty high recoil values, the actual recoil is pretty low thanks to a fast recenter speed. This means the recoil is virtually non-existent unless you hold your trigger down too long. In close range encounters you can often just get away with just spraying this thing, but if you want to take out people at long range, just like all the weapons in Battlefield, you need to make sure you feather that trigger. One of the main drawbacks to this weapon, which isn't unusual for the PDWs, is a small magazine size of just 20 rounds. We're already familiar with this from experience with the PP2000, the MP7, the PDWR and the AS Val. But when you compare this against the P90 or the PP19's magazine sizes of 50 rounds, it really puts a downer on these weapons' stats and means you're going to have to use up an attachment slot to remedy it with extended mags. These small capacity PDWs do redeem themselves though with a fast rate of fire, and in the case of the M5K the rate of fire comes in at 900 rounds per minute. This is on par with the P90, PP19 and the AS Val, and it's only slightly slower than the MP7. So with pretty average stats all around, this weapon is quite mediocre. All it's really got going for it is that low recoil which is combined with a fast rate of fire. The main drawback though is relatively low damage and that small magazine size, and it's really that small magazine which puts a downer on this weapon's performance. Unless you're playing hardcore mode, this weapon's a real nightmare to use, as you're going to use up the whole of your magazine just to take out one person. In theory, you only need 5 shots to kill, which should calculate to you being able to take out 4 people, but with the effects of suppression and the general mechanics of Battlefield, it's highly unlikely that you're going to be able to gun down more than 2 people. This makes extended mags crucial for this weapon, and it's going to use up one of those attachment slots. Unfortunately though, unlike the MP7 and the PP2000, you only get an increase of 10 rounds with the extended mags on the MP5K, whereas the MP7 and the PP2000 get a 50% increase to 40 rounds. When you also consider that you can get a faster rate of fire with the MP7 or more close range damage with the PP2000, it makes those two weapons more enticing. That's not to mention the P90 or the AS Val with its good long range capabilities. So all in all, I think this weapon's pretty much outshined by many of the weapons in the PDW category, and after playing around with it for this guide, I don't think I'll be going back to it anytime in the near future, maybe with the exception to use it to create an SAS class for my Battlefield 3 loadout series. But if you've unlocked the M5K in game and you want to play around with it, then let's take a look at my recommendations of a configuration of attachments. For the optic, I think any of the low magnification sights are pretty good with this weapon, but you get the Reflex Red Dot sight first after just 10 kills. The iron sights on this weapon aren't too bad, but you get to see more of your target through a Reflex Red Dot sight with the little window, and that little red dot makes it easy to line up your shots, especially with the low recoil of this weapon. For the primary slot, the laser sight, like I'd usually recommend for PDWs, would be a good choice. But with the M5K's low close range damage, you really need all the help you can get in those close range engagements. So I found the tactical light was a great help, just to impair the enemy's vision and give you that extra split second to start opening fire, and more importantly send their shots off target so you're not gunned down before you've managed to get your 5 shots to kill out. And like we mentioned, for the secondary accessory, the extended mags attachment is crucial for this weapon. Unfortunately, you don't get extended mags until you've racked up 60 kills with the M5K, so until then it's just a case of leaving this slot blank, or trying to play around with the suppressor and go more of a stealthy approach. Once you've unlocked the extended mags and you've got those 30 rounds to spare, life does become a little bit easier with the M5K, but it's still not very competitive in comparison to most of the other PDWs and other weapons in the game. If I could make one little tweak to this weapon, I'd probably make the close range damage on par with the PP2000, and it kind of fit in perfectly with the PDWs, in that it would have made it one of the go-to weapons for close range encounters. 25 damage up close would equate to 4 shots to kill, and combined with that 900 rounds per minute fire rate, there wouldn't be many weapons in the game that could compete with it. I think it'd still remain balanced though because of that 12.5 damage figure at long range. Even with the low recoil needing 8 shots to kill, it's going to put you at a disadvantage when up against carbines, assault rifles or LMGs. But so that's about it for my guide to the M5K. If you did enjoy my video or if you learned anything new, please drop me a thumbs up down below, just to share the video with your friends and give my videos overall more widespread exposure. If this is the first video of mine you've seen and you liked what you saw, then you can check back the previous episodes from this Battlefield 3 weapon guide series, and also check out my other videos as part of my Battlefield 3 loadout series. You can also subscribe, stick around for the rest of these weapon guides, where I'll be slowly covering the rest of the weapons available in game. So that's about it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all later.